The EHL, the most prestigious club competition in the world, and my personal favourite competition, bar none. A showcase of titans, the place for careers to be started, a place for careers to peak, and a place for the underdogs to cause an unthinkable upset. It's a clash of different club styles and philosophies. What more could you want? This year's EHL finals are no different, with some absolutely mouth-watering fixtures as soon as the preliminary rounds, and the repeat of last year's final in this year's quarterfinals. So, with that being said, let's preview and predict this year's men's EHL finals. I will do a general review and preview after and before every round, so long as I'm not too busy, and there is no way I can predict everything correctly, so this is just for fun. I'll start with a preview of both preliminary games, after which I'll predict my winners for these fixtures as well as the winners of the quarterfinals, semi-finals and the final. Let's start with the two walkover games involving Minsk and Akbars. These games will not be played because of obvious reasons, and I don't know how much I can say before the YouTube algorithm takes this video down for mentioning a certain conflict, but I do agree with the decision, and that's all I'll say on the matter. That leaves only two games to be played in the preliminary round, one of which is worthy of a final. But let's start with the other game, Saint-Germain against Surbiton. Though it might be considered the lesser of the two preliminary games in terms of star power, it is a harsh label to put on this fixture, and I think we could see a brilliant game. Though Surbiton will go into this game as the favourites, Saint-Germain will want to get a positive result, and they'll have no choice but to go on the attack right away. Some of the names in the English team will sound familiar to many, most notably James Gall, Gareth Furlong, Ben Boone, Tom Sorsby and Luke Taylor. Plenty of scoring options. However, I urge you all to also keep an eye on Ben Park. Surbiton enjoyed a fairly successful season in the England Hockey League, finishing third in the league, second in goals scored and third in goals conceded. Surbiton will want to prove that they can hang with some of Europe's best in the next round, but it would be a colossal mistake for them to underestimate Saint-Germain and to expect an easy victory. They could absolutely win this game easily, no doubt about that, but they could just as easily let it slip away. Surbiton have scored an average of 4 goals per game, but have also conceded just under 2 goals per game. Saint-Germain has always been considered a small club in comparison to the usual big hitters, and they'll want to get rid of that label. But they don't have the resources or reputation that Dutch, Belgian, Spanish, German or English clubs have, so it really looks like it won't happen this year. And finally, both clubs will look forward to a possible quarter-final against a Dragon team that has recently sacked its head coach, that has slightly underperformed in the Belgian league, that has just come off a devastating loss against Gantoise. So Dragon will remain a dangerous team, and they are the favourites for the quarter-finals, but they will be fragile, and an upset could be brewing. But now, a final before the final, Kampong against Mülheim. And if playing each other so early in the competition isn't bad enough for these two teams, the winner gets to face Rot-Weiss Köln in the next round. What is there to say about these two teams that hasn't been said yet? One team arguably possesses the best attacking duo in Germany, the other arguably the second best all-round team or the best defensive team in the Netherlands. Both teams have phenomenal set-piece takers, and both teams know they've got what it takes to not only beat each other, but to win the entire competition. Uhlenhorst Mülheim, of course, suffered defeat in the semi-finals last year after conceding 2 last-minute goals against Athletic Terrassa. No doubt will that defeat still resonate, and it could serve as an incentive for this competition, but as always, it could also come back to haunt them. Kampong has been an absolute juggernaut in the Dutch competition this year, though it hasn't always translated into wins. Despite having the second best attack and the joint best defense, they currently lie 4th in Hoofdklasse, though only 2 points off second place. Mülheim are in a very similar position, sitting 4th in the Bundesliga and having the joint second best offense. However, the defensive side of their game sometimes leaves a bit to be desired. That is a consequence of playing a high line and trying to play an attacking game, but with guys like Terence Peters leading the line for Kampong, they have to sort that out. So, what about the rest of the team from Holland? Well, it's really a who's who of world-class players. One of, if not the greatest goalie of all time in David Hart is always a good thing to have in your team, and it just gets better. Robert Kemperman, Sander de Wijn, Bjorn Kellerman, Jonas de Geus, Lars Balk, Jip Janssen, and yet this team could get eliminated in the preliminary round. If you watched my videos last year, you'll know how big a fan of Maarten Helvig I am. A player with a beautiful mix of pace, vision, hockey IQ, and, of course, a deadly shot. He's one of a rare breed. Still the most underrated player in the world in my opinion. He's the perfect teammate for a guy like Tim Hersbruch. Hersbruch is the guy in this team, and rightfully so. He's relied upon as a creator and a finisher, and opponents know that. However, with a guy like Helvig creating many problems for the Wen or Janssen, it allows for Hersbruch to have a little more time on the ball, a little more space, and thus a little more confidence. But much like Kampong, the team isn't relying on just one guy. Lucas Windfeder is a very astute defenseman and a great BC specialist. Niklas Bossehoff is coming into his prime years and is still getting better. Ferdinand Weinke brings a calming and safe presence, and Julius Meyer remains one of the most criminally undervalued midfielders who can most definitely turn the tide in favour of Mülheim at any point. So, how could these teams defeat each other? For one, the Germans will no doubt be aware of the two main goal threats: penalty corners from Janssen or open play goals from Peters. It is much easier said than done, but contain Peters to a certain degree, tire him out or isolate him, I do not care how, just make sure that he can't drive the attack. Furthermore, conceding penalty corners at crucial times is exactly how Mülheim lost the semi-final last year. Do that again and Ip Janssen will make sure history repeats itself. Remain disciplined and it could very well be enough. Mülheim's goal scoring is slightly more spread out. Yes, Helvig and Windfeder are exactly to Mülheim what Peters and Janssen are to Kampong, but I would argue Kampong is slightly more dangerous on the penalty corner and Mülheim is slightly more dangerous from open play. This game will be decided in the midfield. Who tires out first? Which team will abandon their structure? Which midfield won't offer enough support at crucial times? Both teams will make mistakes, that is a given. But I think it might end up being Kampong that'll crack first. I've personally got this down as a barn burner, a tactical masterclass, but Kampong cannot afford to spend all their energy in the EHL and possibly mess up their Hoofdklasse season. It'll be close, and I'm not confident at all, but I think we'll see a clash of German giants in the quarterfinals. So, this was the preview. As for my full predictions, Mülheim versus Kampong, I'll go with Mülheim. Surbiton versus Saint-Germain, I think it might turn out to be a dominant win for Surbiton. In the quarterfinals, I think we'll see Rot-Weiss Köln defeat Mülheim and Dragon defeat Surbiton. However, if there is to be an upset in this competition, I think it could be this. Club de Campo against Arminen will go to the Spanish, and in a repeat of last year's final, I think Bloemendaal will defeat Terrassa again. I predict Köln and Bloemendaal to win both semi-finals, and then it's a tough one. I think I'll go with Bloemendaal, but then I think Köln, I don't know. I'll say Köln, final answer. Anyway, that was it for the video. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I've got so many videos to make, so I don't have time for an outro. Thank you. Goodbye.